when I'm looking at something and I'm asked to look at it from a security perspective, that I apply the same fundamental knowledge that I would like to share with you today. The security mindset is, I think, best described by this quote by Bruce, which is security requires a particular mindset. Security professionals, at least good ones, see the world differently. They cannot walk into a store without noticing how they might shop it. They can't use a computer without noticing the vulnerabilities. And they cannot use a voting machine without thinking of how to vote twice. This quote really struck me because a lot of my friends hate shopping with me because of the amount of times I'm like, oh look, this magnetic tab is not sealed right. I can pull it up, I can walk away. What does this have to do with cyber? Nothing. It has to do with the mindset that I use to apply at every stage of my life. And the mindset that I want to ensure that you can use the principles of in whatever your day-to-day job is, whether it's in legal, whether it's in HR, whether it's in marketing. I've kept the principles short, simple, and ironically, maybe a little bit funny. But before that, why do we need the mindset? It's because there's a massive security human gap. There's, according to ISC squared, there's 3.4 million job shortages, or there's a job demand for cybersecurity that we cannot fulfill. And I truly believe that out of these 3.4 million, even if we got them, not all of them are going to have the mindset that is required for them to do their job efficiently. Because anyone can learn how to detect, anyone can learn a bunch of rules that they need to implement, the type of steps that they need to take. But when it comes to thinking outside of the box, thinking of how to improve, how to block, how to defend, how to design applications, that is not going to be, that's not something you're going to get out of it. The second thing is over-reliance on technology. A lot of organizations here, startups, tech, even in the main dry tech, they will sell you a technology that could cost anywhere between 10,000 dirhams to 100,000 dirhams to millions of dirhams. And a lot of people rely on that technology thinking that it is secure by default. That I'm paying for something, so of course I'm paying this massive amount, of course it's going to secure me from everything. Even the security tools that people use, that's going through firewalls, load balancers, EDRs, all of these technical things, you will think that they're going to protect you. They will not unless you really question them, unless you really fine-tune them, unless you really understand the fundamentals of the security mindset and apply them. When I say end-to-end, I mean looking at everything from each stage. And we're going to get some examples of what that means. And the last one, which is what I've been trying to highlight since we started talking here, is misunderstanding security. Where should security be? Where should security not be? A lot of organizations think cybersecurity or security in general are only in their cybersecurity function. Their whole job is to just look out for threats and call it a day. Look at the logs, analyze the logs. There's a hacker here, hacker there, that's it. That's a really twisted or outdated mindset. If you are trying to build a company that secures your customers, secures your operations, has business continuity in mind, you will quickly understand that security needs to be there everywhere. You're starting contracts with different companies trying to ensure that they are protecting you, or they're offering you even a delivery service. You need to ensure that there's some kind of mindset asking about the security and taking the same principle and applying it everywhere. So one thing that we're going to start with when it comes to the mindset is that it starts with you as individuals. You don't have to be working in security, but you have to know that everyone is accountable for cybersecurity or security of their platform, of their company, of themselves. Previously, when I was at the TBRA and AESO, the side gig that I was doing with it, other than responding to hacks and incidents, was teaching students, teaching elderly, teaching CEOs, Director Generals, their excellency, cybersecurity, social awareness. And a lot of the same things that I'm saying apply to everything else. And the number one thing that I was going to start with is never assume. Once you start assuming, that's it. That's a guaranteed failure. Once you assume that something is protected by default, you failed and you're compromised. Once you think that the application, hey, okay, let's go technical. If I'm building this application, then I'm going to assume that the file that I'm uploading to it and that goes into the backend is going to take care of making sure that there's no viruses. The backend is going to take care of everything. That's not how it works in security. Never assume. When you're working in the mindset of building this, it's going to create a lot of paranoia, because unless it's documented, unless it's proven, then it's not there. think about it also in the contract. If I say I'm going to be delivering everything to you, and I'm going to be delivering it within 1 minute, and it's not written in the contract, I'll be like, well, it's not written in the contract, so are you going to hold me accountable? Similarly, when it comes to security, do not assume anything and question everything until there is evidence on it. This, for an end-to-end project such as Ignite, where we're rebuilding and re-envisioning what the digital telco should be, not in the country, not in the region, but across the globe, this requires amount of detail of not trusting anything but verifying. If you tell me you're going to protect me and you're going to do all of these steps, show me how in your code of this mobile app. What are the things that you're going to be doing in the mobile app to protect me from this? Do not rely on anything else, and do not assume that everything else is going to work. And another thing, and this is something that I really learned from psychology, and I think everyone will agree, forget that this is a security conversation. If I say that there is an opportunity, it will be taken, then it will be taken. If there's an opportunity for me to do something that I'm not allowed to, and there's no checks, and the punishment is not severe, or even if there is a punishment, it will be taken. There is wider police even in the safest cities, because there is opportunities for people to take advantage of things, and we need to understand that it will be taken. That's part of human nature. The same thing we need to think about of systems. Systems are inherently built by humans. AI is inherently built by humans. Never assume, back to the first point, that just because it's done this way, or that they said that they will do it correctly, that it will be done. If there is any kind of opportunity, it will be taken. If your mobile app is not secure and you're relying on the backend, it will be taken. And another thing is, and this is something that's going to be maybe controversial to a lot of the startups that I've seen here, a lot of the massive companies that say this, if you see anyone that says we're 100% secure, that security is 100% guaranteed, exit the meeting, run, know that they're doing something that they're supposed to. No one can guarantee something is 100%. Let's take it in another term. If I told you, invest with me, and 100% you're going to get your 20% of your 2 times, 3 times your money back, you're going to have the same kind of question, like, no, there's something wrong. Same concept applies in cybersecurity or security in general. Nothing is 100% secure, and having that mentality helps me understand that the mindset of ensuring that everything is in place at every stage of the way. If they can, they will, and if you hear this, run. If you see any person here that says, no, 100% we're secure, we did all of this, run. I'm doing this for the past 2 years, trying my best to secure everything, but I will never walk out and tell anyone that it's 100% secure. That is a false statement, and it's a statement that is made by everyone all around here. Security is a piece of cake, right? All of what I just said makes security sound like a piece of cake. And this is what I also kind of educate people to. It kind of is. Security is a piece of cake, but not the type of cake that you're thinking of. Think of it as a cake that is layered. Think of it as lasagna, think of it as salad, think of it as any type of recipe. When people tell me that, okay, we're going to be fine with not securing the mobile app, and we're going to make sure every other part of this backend is secure, I see it and I tell them, so I'm like, you want me to eat a cake that has one of the layers moldy and trust you that it's going to be okay. I cannot do that. I have to secure each part of this layer, each part of this cake. I want to present you a cake that has nice frosting, clear baked layer. I want to give you a lasagna that's so good that you can trust that every part of it was taken with care. You wouldn't eat a cake that has any kind of mold. You wouldn't eat lasagna if it looked off. So why would you accept security to be the same way? Security has to be applied at each and every layer. And then, most important of all, blueprints. Blueprints in security. This is something that I've struggled with getting people to understand. They tell me, I want to build a mobile app. I want to launch this kind of platform. I want to do that. How do we secure it? I'm like, okay, so tell me, actually show me the technology stack, how they're going to be communicating. No, that comes later. So what do you want me to secure? Think of security, planning, designing as the blueprint to the house. if you're building a house, and before this house is even built, you bring in the guy who's going to install the security cameras and go like, I'm going to build a house right there, how many cameras do I need? He'll oversell you for sure, that's an easy buck. Second of all, it's not going to be right. Let's say you say like, the house is going to have 4 walls, but it's not a blueprint. I'm just telling you that there's going to be 4 walls. So there's no design for it. You're going to build it, you're going to put the 4 cameras, you're going to realize that one of the walls was blocking the view from the camera, and guess what? You need an additional camera. Security mindset and security principles is the same. For me to secure, I need to know. To protect, I must know what are you bringing up, what are you building, how are you building it, so I can tell you where are your entrances and exits are, where are your switches are. You know, knowing that, I'll tell you, okay, you need a fire alarm here, you need a smoke alarm here, you need all these types of different things, how many living rooms with smoke alarms in. I cannot do that if you just tell me I'm building a house right here, I'm building a mobile app right here, I'm massively transforming this organization just there. It doesn't work that way. The end-to-end journey to secure everything is difficult, but it requires a lot of information. And these principles that I'm going to be sharing or talking to you guys about, I need you to understand that it's applicable even in the technical things. And I'm going to get into that. So how is take applicable? You will understand how take is applicable at every layer once you break it down a bit further. And I think this is one of my favorite quotes. And I've used this a lot because a lot of people want to accept the risk of taking something on, that they want to think that, okay, you know what, we have a plan for this risk. Don't worry about it, it's going to be addressed in a few months, in a few years. This is why we cannot meet your security controls. To that I say, refer to Mike Tyson, where he says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everyone has a plan to address security until they get hacked. Then it'll be like chaotic, and everyone who accepts the risk is going to be like, well, maybe we shouldn't have it. Plans work in theory, and it's great to have them, and you should have them, but you need to understand when you are taking these type of plans in mind of misidentifying when security should be, or planning to do security later, you are planning to get punched in the mouth by Mike Tyson. This is the same mindset that you need to understand when it comes to building security and skipping over security. If it's not done from the start, it's going to be very difficult. I just like the idea of having a full-built house and then being told to put the security on it. Because first, I'm going to have to ruin the house. I have to bolt on the security of the house, which means not everything is going to be done the most adequate way. If I have the blueprints and I designed it that way, I can make sure to put the cameras in a way that don't block any view, but also looks nice. And I can be sure that the security that I am doing is going to work in the way that it is designed. When the application is up and running and then you tell me to do security, one of the things that's going to happen is it's going to break your functionality. Let's say I'm going to tell you now, you know, you have to do the mobile, let's say, uploading documents, taking your photos, everything. Now, after you design the app, your coders will not like it. Your coders will either have to rewrite or bolt on how to fulfill that requirement, and it's not going to be done in an efficient manner. And then, don't trust a carpenter to be your locksmith. Don't trust your carpenter to be a locksmith is another statement that I try to make when I'm working with a partner team vendor. Because they want to trust, and they're like, we've built it, we've secured it. But you are an expert at building doors. You're not an expert in security. You're not the locksmith that does the security part. I cannot trust you to tell me that what you have built is secure. Everyone, every designer, everything loves their product, that they will inherently, human nature, not see the mistakes of it. If you take a guy who's working, making art pieces and masterpieces, and that's the way he does day in and day out, and tell them that they're doing something wrong, it's not going to be a very pleasant conversation with a lot of these artists. Piece of security the same way. You shouldn't trust the same person who told you, I built this app to be 100% secure, unless they have the evidence and the methodology to prove it. And even then, I would say you've got to get someone else. And when it comes to cybersecurity, and this is, I like to, I've noticed a lot of the references I use is house-related, cake-related, but mostly house-related, because it is like a house. When you are building something in cybersecurity, and you're building, let's say, a web app, you're building a mobile,
The first thing and the most screws that you need to tighten when it comes to security is the windows, the facade. It's the windows making sure that there is no cracks. Because let's say there's heavy rain hits and there's cracks on the window, the water is going to seep in. So when you're looking at security and you are responsible to ensure that something is secure, the most tightening needs to happen at the front layer. So while that is going to be cumbersome and could introduce a lot of maybe inconveniences for the customers, you know by doing so, you are protecting yourself, your business. What's good of an application if it crashes and customers are no longer able to use it, or their data gets stolen because there's a crack on the window. An example for that in cybersecurity terms is attack surface monitoring, external attack surface monitoring. You need to continuously monitor your assets externally. You need to ensure that all of the websites that you know that you are publishing, you have a visibility on them and any changes that may introduce vulnerability. And from my experience, from working to federal government, local government, and sometimes even private companies, the number one way that people end up getting hacked is because of an old system or a system that they have on the internet that is not patched, that is not vulnerable. These type of things you need to take with proper patch management processes. These type of things you need to completely be aware of. If you're using your Oracle, you're using your Amazon AWS, whatever application it is, whatever is on the surface, you need to have a Twitter feed telling you if there's any kind of vulnerabilities or bugs on it. Because that is the number one way that people end up getting in. And now another house weapon, snagging. If you're unaware, when you build a house and you get an apartment and you buy anything property related, one of the first things that the developer is going to do before they hand you over the keys and you sign as the owner of the house, they'll ask you to do some snagging. Snagging is the process of ensuring that what they have built is working fine. Snagging in property terms is making sure that all of my outlets are working, there are no cracks, the ECs are working fine, the faucets are working fine. Similarly, in security and cybersecurity in particular, you need to snag. So when you are doing your mobile app, I would recommend getting a third-party person or ensuring that the person who's going to be doing the testing isn't from the same company, isn't from the same organization. They need to do the snagging, they need to do the testing, they need to follow methodologies of source code analysis and dynamic application testing analysis to the T and ensure that everything is reported on accurately. Now, I'm not saying everyone, there's one company that you're relying on, that they will do it wrongly, but at the end of the day, never assume. So never assume that this person is there for your benefit. There are a lot of the times, they are there to ensure that they get their paycheck, that the project is done. And if there's no contracts that specify that they need to fix vulnerabilities, they need to fix all of these different situations, then it's not going to happen. So snagging by an external auditor is important. And it's something that we need to do. Now, I don't want to end this presentation with all what you've left with is a carpenter, locksmith. Let's relate all of these things to actual cybersecurity and see. Again, the goal was here to introduce you to the mindset and hopefully give you the ability to see at your workplace, whatever your role may be, how these things could be applicable. But it's more applicable when it comes to cybersecurity. Let's go with identity access management. So which reference would we use here? Identity access management is never assumed. Identity access management is making sure that the people that I'm giving access to are the right people, and they're the people that are authorized to. In identity access management, the maker, and this is similar to the never assume process, the maker cannot be the checker. I cannot raise a request to have my account, let's say, password reset, and be the same person to approve it. I can be the manager, and I can raise the request and have approval privileges, but I shouldn't be the same person to approve it. Why? If this account gets compromised, specifically this one, they can make the request and they can accept it. Now let's think of financial terms. If I'm the person who's going to raise how much bonus everyone's going to get, and I'm going to be the one who accepts it, that logic doesn't fit. Similarly with security, you need to understand that the maker cannot be the checker at almost every layer. Even so, from something detailed like processes to something high level like the mobile application testing that we were talking about. The maker of the mobile app shouldn't be the same person that checks it and tells you it's okay. These principles, well, I've said them in a very vague way. If you take them home and try to understand them even now, you can see how they can be applicable in everywhere. Similarly with software development security. The people that are making the code need to have some gates. Never assume that the code that they're punching out is secure unless you see them follow a blueprint of security. An example of that would be the OAuth mobile standard. In the project that I work on and the mobile application that we're doing, we are not inventing anything new when it comes to security in that sense. We're telling them, you see this standard that is everyone accepts and it's an open source standard, it's not some kind of thing, apply it. Does that mean I'm going to trust them that, okay, we've done it and follow today? No. I have to go and look for the evidence and I ask them for me to sign off that you've done this project and that this is security clear. That isn't you telling me you have done it. If the standard tells you something, I need to see evidence of it being done in your code. I'm not a coder, but I can understand that at least there is some part of it there. I can understand from different processes that it is going to be followed. Same principle with the maker and checker. Now risk management. Risk management is the Mike Tyson quote, where your risk management is all about having plans for your risk and hoping you'll get punched in the mouth. Risk management is really understanding what kind of punches you can take and how to act accordingly. Plans are really good, but you also need to understand how to take a fall. I've taken one MMA class, signed up for 6 months. In the second time, in the second session, the MMA instructor changed and it was this Brazilian MMA guy. And this is where I've learned the Mike Tyson quote and I applied it to work. At the end of a 40-minute typical session, the trainer asked me to put my hands up, and he's like, okay, final exercise. Takes the phone and starts smacking my stomach in it. Wasn't pleasant. I stopped going to MMA after that, and this is what it kind of taught me. You have, even if you're practicing MMA, if you don't learn to take a punch, then you're going to fall no matter how strong you are and how good your technique is. Because the second that someone breaks that defense layer, the cyber defense layer, your exterior defense layer, and you don't have a plan to address it, you're gone. Your whole business collapses. You need to have your risk management teams and processes done adequately and tested. Security operations. Security operations revolve around the people who are monitoring the events that they are seeing. Don't assume that these guys are able to see everything unless you can test it. Don't assume that they are able to get the right alarms unless they test it. Even with your own security people, you should never assume with them. The same person who is reviewing the logs cannot be the same person that said 100% sure that we do not have any kind of security vulnerabilities or any kind of security challenges. And these are, I would say, a high-level approach of what security mindset is and how we can use it. One important thing when it comes to security, all of these principles can be applied to whatever project that there is. I'm not expert in cloud. I am not expert in audits. I'm not expert in security. But when I take this mindset with me, I know that as long as these principles in a way are being followed, that I can do it. Because the principles for security don't change. You take the same principles for cyber, apply them in national security, you'll see the same thing. CASE is a defense in-depth military kind of strategy. I use CASE, but it's actually called defense in-depth. It's layers and layers of security that is applicable at every stage. And this is what I wanted to leave you guys with. And this is the end of the conversation that we're having. And I know it's a bit early, so if there's anyone who wants to have any kind of questions that they want to ask me, I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.